Hello you lot, Miller Corner here, welcome back once again, and the attentive amongst you will note that there aren't any cars in this shot. Note what you can't see behind that garage door is that a storm is raging out there. There's rain, there's wind, there's hurricanes and tsunamis and maybe even the odd earthquake. That and the fact that the Super Seichento's MOT has recently cost me a fair bit more than I would have liked means that that's right, the build is starting on this, my 2002 Kawasaki ER5, my first proper bike. You may remember in the reveal video for the ER5 I said that it would not be staying standard because I'm going to be having it for at least 2 years before I can upgrade to the full bike license. I'm going to modify it, I'm going to make it my own and make it a bike that I've truly got a connection with if I'm going to own it for so long. And with very little money in the car funds pot at the moment, I figured there's no time like the present, let's crack on with the Kawasaki build. The colour is going to be changing. I'm not a fan of the goldy bronze the bike came in, but it's not disastrous. It's staying for now because it's going to take a long time to prep it for a respray. More importantly though, we're going to focus today on the other shiny bits. You might notice there's quite a lot of chrome going on the bike, and frankly, I'm not a huge fan of chrome. I don't think it works with very many colours, certainly not with gold, or really with the colour that this bike is going to be going in the near future. So today we've got some basic cheap bike mods that you can do to pretty much any motorcycle on a budget to get rid of the chrome and get it looking a bit more stylish. So let's go get the first box. The first thing we're going to start with are the mirrors. Now these are the original Kawasaki mirrors and they are actually chromed metal. They look perfectly decent for what they are, but frankly chrome just doesn't fit with the colour scheme I'm going for. Now you can take them off by undoing these nuts down here. I can't do it from this angle, I'm actually craning my back quite painfully, so the next shot won't be me at this angle, sorry. Right, so theoretically if we just undo that, twist against it, do be warned you might have to put your choke on to do that, as I just did. You can already see it sort of moving away from the bike. Actually you probably can't, but I can. It's worth noting that all the bits I'm taking off here aren't going back on. So if you do want some Kawasaki ER5 mirrors, all the bits are for sale because I've got multiple projects to fund now that this is actually a project. Well, that comes off. I've no idea how deep, I was about to say I've no idea how deep the thread is. Roughly that deep. There you go. There's one mirror for a Kawasaki and a spanner and the guy using it as well. And now with that off, I reckon we can start getting the new boy fitted. What's the only thing in life that's as exciting as car parts? Bike parts. We've got a box here, massive box, complete with some crash protection. I'll be sure to wear those on the bike. And indeed in here, oh yes, we've got some black mirrors. There are two, don't worry. Of course I did plan ahead and remember to bring something to open it with. Look at that, black mirror. That looks awesome. Let's compare actually. Compare and contrast, chrome versus black. That is gonna look sweet. That actually looks really, really nice, a little bit more elegant. You may be able to tell the new one is just a tiny bit shorter than the old one, which is going to be very nice. So I reckon get this mofo screwed on to the bike. You may notice a distinct lack of voiceover going on here, unless I've already put voiceover on, in which case well done Joe in the edit, but there's a very good reason for that, because I want this bike build to be very much light-hearted. So we're going to do simple videos, fun stuff, less editing than normal, and not just to make my life easier. I bought it to have a play, you know, just take it easy. Bikes are cheap to get into once you're actually into them for all the licensing crap. They're just fun to do stuff with, so I think we can probably tighten that up now. Let's just hold on that, pull against it. Oh yes, that already looks better. That looks sweet. Brand new mirrors, or mirror I should say, we haven't fitted both yet. Ah, that's not, this went well. Oh, cock. Oh, come on, you There is standard chromy glossy blingy thing. There is satin black, very much not chromy glossy blingy thing. Let's get this mirror swapped over with the magical power of the YouTuber Snap. Two things to note. First of all, if you are taking your ER5 mirrors off and you can't find a 20mm spanner like this idiot, you can also use an Imperial 13/16. That seems to fit pretty much perfectly. Also, the temptation to leave just that mirror on and have it all kind of cafe racery style with just one mirror is non-existent, because I want a bike that actually works. So without further ado, let's get the other mirror in. There we have it. Two black mirrors installed on the Kawasaki, and I'm going to mount up Hey, these were about 15 quid off eBay delivered, and they got here in like 3 days, really well packaged, and they're brilliant. Now normally I would say do it yourself rather than just buy new parts, but frankly the stock items are actual metal chrome, so being able to paint those probably not as easy or as cheap, frankly, as just buying new mirrors and bolting them on. These are awesome, they look good, and they're just that little bit shorter, which is perfect. I can still see over my shoulders perfectly, but it gives them a much nicer kind of profile on the bike. Next up is another chrome thing that you can see in the same shot, actually, which is the clocks, which is the housings for the rev counter and the speedo are chrome, and we are getting rid of all the chrome on this bike, but unlike the mirrors, you might be able to hear, these are not metal. These are plastic, and that means they are going to be easy to paint, because for those of you that don't know, we do paint a lot of plastic components on this channel. So next up, we've got to take the clocks off so we can get the housings painted. And for once, I have to give a shout out, and there is no sponsorship deal here, to the Haynes manual, because we've got the Haynes books for the ER5 and for my dad's Bandit, and the amount of times these have proved useful means that the 8 or 10 quid these have cost has been invaluable. One of the things the Haynes manual for the ER5 helped me out with was knowing that to take the clocks off, you have to take the headlight out. In case you're wondering, 13mm to take those bolts off, so cue the time lapse. Why are you not working? That's not quite what I had in mind when I said come off. Give up your headlight. This is for your own good. To all of you ER5 people that were saying that I had to unscrew the Phillips head screws on the headlight, take the front of the headlight off and then undo the nuts from within to take the headlight out, thank you. I've now read the Haynes manual and now I'm going to do that. Spanner with a spanner. And to those of you that are saying you're an idiot and you don't know what you're doing, you're absolutely right, I don't know what I'm doing. Hey. Here-ish and here-ish are two bolts that I think is everything that's holding the clocks on. We'll get a spanner or a socket on those two nuts and see if we can undo them. Hello. Oh, hello. Hey, there we go. Right. Ah, I won't lie, that looks a lot simpler in the diagram.
Screw there, look.
Screw there.
That probably holds the two bits of housing together.
How do they come off?
Good question.
These
There's
little
one
screws
there,
here.
There's one there.
Yeah.
Let me go and get the tea.
You will never hear me say this ever, but now is not the time for tea. Oh, that cracking noise is so bad. It's not bad, but it just makes you cringe, doesn't it? Hey, there we go. Now is the time to clean all these though, isn't it? Because you're never going to get...
You're never going to take these apart just to
better.
clean them.
No, God no. Someone said to me on one of the pages, oh, why don't you just keep it as it is? I was like, well, it's a 30,000 mile or 33,000 mile example of a bike that's fairly common and fairly cheap. There will be immaculate low mileage ones that will be preserved, but this is not one of them. Why not have some fun with it?
I don't think there's many Bandits with that mileage.
How many miles has your bike got?
9,000.
9,000. See, the amount of Bandits with that mileage on them full stop is probably pretty low, let alone the ones in that condition.
I don't think there's many Bandits that are standard.
No, I'd
Most
agree.
people, first thing they do is put a can on, because they do sound good with a can.
They do.
And then they change the indicators because they are quite big.
There is an argument for if there's not many of them left in a good condition like that one is, and the paint is, it's a nice colour and it obviously hasn't been dropped at any point in its life or anything like that. It's older than me, that bike's in better condition than I am.
140 mile an hour speed, I think.
I know. I wouldn't know what 140 kilometres an hour looks like.
Fuel gauge is still working.
Do you reckon Suzuki fuel gauges work well?
I don't know. I've got no experience of them. I can't see the point of them really.
No, Suzuki can't either. So if you want a fuel gauge on your Bandit, buy a Kawasaki. Right, those are clean inside now, that's excellent.
Have we got a bit of blue roll?
We've got a whole roll of blue roll, hence the name. Blue roll is the second best type of roll, isn't it?
Well, after sausage.
Well said.
Look at that, it's like brand new.
Look at that, that's fantastic. And I'll follow it up with some delicious tea. It's time for another episode of the internet's favourite show. It's Joe Paints Random Stuff. Joe Paints Random Stuff. Do-do-do. And today on Joe Paints Random Stuff, we're painting some clocks from Kawasaki. You probably worked that one out. And first of all, as you know, if you've ever watched this channel before, the first step is flatting them down. So we've got some brand new, fresh, lovely, crisp Scotch Brite. Just gonna bathe in the magnificence of that. And now I think we just get to flatting down. It's worth pointing out that chrome effect plastic like this does take a little bit more flatting down than just regular plastic, because you want to take, as we said, always you want to take the shine off of it, but obviously when it's all shine it can be a little bit more effort. We're now going to do the cool YouTuber transition-y thing to get to these being flatted down, so join you on the other side. thought you might be interested to see what it looks like when they've actually been flatted down. So this is one as they come on the bike, completely untouched and still very much chromy, and this is one that's been flatted down. Now it doesn't look like much on its own until you compare it to the original, which is considerably shinier. A little bit more to do on this one. Flat this one down in the back bit, and then we can do some mad painting. You want to make sure that what you're painting has been elevated off of the surface that you're painting it on. So I've got the clock backs supported by an old tool chest thing, and the actual surrounds are on top of some old spark plug boxes. We are ready to crack on. Seems like only this time last year that I was painting something pretty much every week. I'm honestly tempted to make a painting playlist. Hours and hours of me hallucinate on aerosol fumes. Okay, so that is all the actual painting done. However, this is where winter comes into play, because it's now nearly 6 o'clock at night. Tomorrow morning I've actually got to drive 3 hours back up to where I now live. This is a Sunday, I'm filming this, I'm back at work tomorrow. So I can't wait all night to then lacquer these tomorrow, so they're going to dry overnight, and I've left the task of lacquering them to my dad, and I've asked him to take some photos, so if he has, overroll them now. And there you have it, the Kawasaki build has begun. Now I know this first episode was only a couple of little basic mods fitting those awesome new black mirrors and painting the gauge clusters, but frankly, it's the start of it, and I want to show with this series just what you can do with very little time, very little budget, and in my case, very little skills when you're modifying a bike. As soon as I've finished editing this video, I'm going to jump straight online and get buying some more parts to continue the Kawasaki build. And the plan is that for the next few weeks at least, we're going to alternate of a week of working on the Kawasaki and a week of working on the Super Seicento. That's all to come, but for now, thanks very much for watching everybody, catch you soon, and have a good one.